How's everybody doing? All right. So I see a lot of familiar faces. That excites me. A lot of you guys have been on the boat with me, diving with sharks before. So as Joe said, and that was pretty awesome, thank you very much. Outside of my family, I live my life for sharks. It's very hard to find me doing anything else. So I'd like to talk to you guys today about a couple of sharks that I've been fortunate enough to meet in my life. It's cool meeting a lot of you guys, but I've been fortunate to meet some pretty cool sharks. And I hope that'll inspire you guys not only to protect them, but follow your dreams. As a kid, I watched Jeff Corwin, Steve Irwin, Manny Puig, Mark Rackley, you know, all these guys that are out there living their dream, playing with wildlife, and hopefully changing a perception that, as we've said, the media has put these animals in danger of. So I'd like to talk to you guys about two sharks, Stevie and Snooty specifically, but I'm going to start with a little bit of the background. So next slide, please. We'll play that. And guys, this will give you a little bit of an image of, and it's self-titled, of some of the other work that I do. Joe mentioned the conservation. As soon as I heard this dead tiger shark washed up on Juno Beach, there's nothing I could do, but I needed to know that this wasn't one of the sharks that I'm used to swimming with. It's kind of weird, right? I'm talking about going to identify this animal, but that's how I want to see sharks. Swimming around in the ocean like they've done for 450 million years. I don't want to see that. And that's from irresponsible fishing. So my job is a lot of fun, right? You guys see me out there playing with sharks, feeding sharks, whatever it is I do on a daily basis, but you don't realize that part of it. And that's very hard for me. I get choked up watching it again, regardless of being there that day. It's not an easy thing to see when you're used to talking to you guys about how we need to save them. So next slide. Knowledge is power, but it's nothing without action. So that's why I'm here. I need to talk to as many people as I possibly can to change the perception that has sharks being killed at a rate of 100 million a year. Next slide. So again, I said outside of my family, which they're over there, sharks are it for me. You see me here with a group of divers, getting them ready to get in the water. An amazing crew at Deep Obsession Charters. They've always had my back out there, and here we are. You see all those smiling faces? That could be you guys. Who here's been on a shark dive? Who here's been on a shark dive with me? All right, very cool. So next slide, please. So in this picture here, to my right, your left, is me just snorkeling with a lemon shark. Stevie and Snooty are both lemon sharks. So again, I specialize in those. They're here in Florida year-round, specifically the Palm Beach area. We have a migration, but we also have residents, which is really cool. This picture up here is from when I was working with Rob Stewart and Madison Stewart on Sharkwater 2. We were working together in January before Rob passed away. I put this up here because I feel that it is our job to not only honor Rob, but the rest of the human race. Rob told me something in our time together that made so much sense. We've been trying to save sharks for too long. We need to start trying to save sharks for people, because 200 million jobs directly rely on the ocean for employment. We're not doing this to save sharks, guys. We need sharks in the ocean so that it doesn't collapse and we don't lose everything underneath them. That is the biggest understanding of this. So if you're not into saving sharks for sharks' sake, do it for your sake. So Rob, thank you for everything you told me. Next slide. And we'll play this one. All right. So again, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things I've done before I get into the other two loves of my life, Stevie and Snooty. Shark diving is generally safe. It needs to be done with the right people. There are always inherent risks. You have to be responsible. So this was a cool video I put together for entering the water with the short fin mako shark. If you understand an animal, you can coexist with it. That's what this is all about, understanding. And once you guys understand how to watch that animal's behavior, anticipate what's next, then we can do this all day long. Like I said, shark diving is generally safe. I do it for a living, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that it's totally safe. You have to do it with the right people in the right situation, with the right briefing, so that you know what's going on in the area. Again, I love shark diving, and I want to take all of you shark diving, but it's got to be done right. So short fin mako sharks, one of the fastest animal in the ocean. I got to swim with them. It's pretty cool, guys. They're an amazing animal. Again, extremely misunderstood, but if it's done right, it can be done. Next slide. So then there's that side of me. I like to have fun too, guys. So I don't know what I was doing with the bait that day. There's a good chance I kissed it before I put it in the crate or something crazy like that. That's always the fun side of coming out with me. We're just funny and random. So I threw that on there, guys. Bonita is the type of bait I use on the east coast of Florida. Why? It's very bloody. The sharks can smell it from a good ways away, and it's also an animal that's native over there. So a lot of the animals already feed on a bonita that's fallen behind, a dead, dying, or diseased animal. Sharks come and scoop them up anyways. All right, so let's talk about the girls. Lemon sharks are a very tolerant animal of humans. Who here has seen Eli Martinez on Shark Week? All right, so he's another role model of mine. He came out on our boat and I got to dive with him. He's very hands-on. Very controversial, but hey, very hands-on. So the lemon sharks, guys, they are a very tolerant animal of humans. And Eli came out with me and he got to see me and Stevie. And he said, man, I have never seen an animal seek out a human being like that. And I'm going to show you guys an example of what I mean about these two animals in just a moment. Next slide. So I threw these in here again just to remind you that it's not all fun and games. We start talking about having fun, and it's part of my job to remind you that that's some of the stuff I see when I go shark diving. If a boat leaves out of the dock where there's a fishing charter, that's what ego does. See that fin up there at the top? That's a short fin mako that was caught that morning. When we docked, the fishermen wanted us to know that that shark was killed that morning and they had just nailed it up. They made it a point that we knew that that's what was going on. Next slide. Back to the Juno Beach one. Enough of the sad stuff, I'm over it. Next slide. Next slide. All right. So I've heard a bunch of people talk about it, and I'm going to start to breeze through this because you guys have sat through a lot of it. 100 million sharks are being killed each year. The #1 reason is shark fin soup. We're doing a great job with progress, trying to make stricter laws, stop the export, but we have a long way to go. Next slide. And here we go. That's me. So a lot of what I'm known for is the hands-on stuff with the lemon sharks. In this picture, I put it here because I want you to see that I will not touch her eye, because that could tear the nictitating membrane. So I'm very, very careful with my placement, and doing stuff like this has to be done completely appropriately or you can damage the animal. So I don't recommend anybody being hands-on that hasn't been doing this for a long time. Next slide. That's Stevie. So like I said, Stevie and Snooty are two that you're going to see in a moment. They pick me out, and they're very, very particular with me. So Stevie is blind in her right eye. As you can kind of see here, it's very glazed over. My interactions with her started a couple years ago, and I would literally hold my hand up because I could see that she was putting her nose on everything. And why? She's blind in her right eye, so she's using her other senses. But at that point when I put my hand up, she'd stop in my hand. So I'd gently move my thumb and rub on her ampullae of Lorenzini, and she would fall. So I'm like, okay, I've seen Eli do stuff like this before, but why is this shark doing this so much? She's coming back to me, and now she's dropping in my hand. And again, very tolerant is the right way to put it. Next slide. All right, so here is an insert from an upcoming documentary we've been working on with Ryan from Born of Water, who they've got their tent up there. They keep me looking nice and fresh, so make sure you buy some Born of Water gear. Shameless plug. All right, let's press play though. So this is an insert from an upcoming documentary we've been working on. Play, sir. All right, so I want to talk you guys through this. I put the whole clip in here. So I've got a crate full of food, and I've got several lemon sharks trying to get my attention. I introduce you to first, Miss Snooty. You guys see why we call her Miss Snooty? Her persistence now is because a piece of bait got out. This is not love. This is I'm hungry. And I can definitely tell the difference. The bait got out, she busted the top on my crate, and this is the perfect scenario to show you. Chomp, 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 I get the food away. Now watch me settle the situation down. I think Ryan called this controlling chaos. It's the title you put on it. So as you can see, the rest of the animals are still kind of mellow. They didn't get the food. Snooty's kind of arguing with me now. And at this point, I'm going to push her away and get her out of the rotation. When she comes back, I want you guys to see how she behaves. And you saw how she looks different, right? So you guys are going to know when Snooty comes back. Welcome back. A little bit different. Does it look like I'm being forceful at all? Who's asking for that, me or her? And as you see, there's no pressure. I'm not trying to control anything. And I would never hold a shark at all to the point where I'm trying to restrain them. At that point, I'm rubbing, and as soon as she looks like she wants to be let go, I let her go. Introduce Stevie. Here's Stevie, and it seems as though these two start to compete over me, which every guy likes when a couple of girls start to compete over him. So here's Stevie, and as you can see, I can turn her around, move her away. She's very, very tolerant. I like to use the word tolerant, guys. These are wild animals. I don't know what they're really thinking, but I can tell you that they keep coming back again and again with the same behavior. I don't think anybody can tell you what they're really thinking. But we can see that this demonstration here of, well, there's food, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna be competitive, I'm gonna make sure I grab that food. And once that situation's settled, there was no editing or clipping in there. That was raw footage. So at that point, you saw when she came back how her demeanor completely changed. Next slide. This photo was taken by Christopher Gillette, former Gator boy. And in my right hand is Snooty, and in my left hand is Stevie. You can see where the bait crate is, guys. Am I holding food? No. These animals are literally seeking my attention. Next slide. Can you guys tell what that is? That's Stevie freaking me out. I'm sitting there telling the boat I'm ready to be picked up, and I had this shark poke her face out in front of me for the first time. Eli was there, and I'm like, dude, what was that? Like, help me out here. Why would, and he had the same thing. She wants the attention. So the next time she came back, my friend Lee Cobb was watching, and here's me rubbing her nose at the surface. This has been a repeated behavior. If I'm at the surface, she literally comes out and now sticks her nose out for me. Next slide. And I don't know why Snooty's always in my right hand and Stevie's in the left, but all these pictures are that way. So again, another demonstration from Jordan Harrison, another friend and diver. This time we are on the bottom, and those are the same two sharks, Stevie and Snooty. Next slide. So Mike Scott, another friend and photographer that comes on our boat, got this photo closer to me right now. That is Stevie. This photo is pretty cool. It was not planned. None of these pictures are planned. When I'm doing my job, I'm down there focusing on animals. All right, so that's another thing I'd like to mention. These are still wild animals. I am never taking my eye off of them or my head out of the game. I am grateful for the amazing photographers that come out with me that capture these images and this content and don't do it with, they don't disrupt anything. I can literally focus. So again, Chris Gillette over here, I find myself, as you can see, locked in eye to eye. And I tell you when you're on my boat, I believe they can read everything. You look a shark in the eye and they can see right through you. They can tell your emotion. They know everything. They can sense it all. And you can see us locked in right there. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're reading each other. We can't talk. We have no way to communicate. The only thing you can do is lock eyes. What she's thinking, I don't know. But we definitely were. And we got a lot of pictures like this where it's special, guys. You could tell that that shark is responding to you. Next slide. One of my very, very good friends is Cassie Jensen, and you could barely see me in here. It was a dirty day, as we call it underwater. Visibility wasn't that great, but the lemon shark here and me in the background. Photos and videos, guys. You come out with us, you come shark diving. This is the way to change perception. My cousin is in that picture by me, and we were up in Rhode Island with Joe Romero from Shark Week, and we were hanging out, doing some mako shark stuff. And I told my cousin, just sit here, don't move. And we were doing wrangle baits off that side, and as soon as we pulled the bait, that mako came through, and I took one shot, and that was it. So that was my cousin's first encounter ever with a shark in the wild. And I'm sure he's got that on all of his social media, as do I. Next slide. So guys, it's important. Future's in our hands. Kids, younger generation, I look at my son and I fear that he's not going to be able to see sharks the way we do. Again, if you can't find a way to protect sharks for sharks, find a way to do it for you and the future generations so that they can enjoy the ocean in the same way that we do. Next slide. That's it. Thank you. So, any questions, guys? Yes? Yep. There you go.
There, okay. I think it's Stevie, the one that's blind in the eye that
Correct.
always goes to your left hand, right?
Yep.
Well,
Yep, right
that's
hand.
done on purpose, I believe, because if you see that of his right eye, then he's positioning himself.
Yeah, I use both hands. It depends. So wherever she's going, I'll throw up that hand.
I didn't know, because I'm really hard of hearing and I thought, I'm always on this, I'm always the passenger, if you will. So I was wondering if the shark was using the same ability to be able to see it.
That makes sense, but she's using her nose no matter what. Any way that she can put her nose on something, that's the next best sense that she has.
Do you have your information that you can put up there for website,
Yeah,
Instagram,
absolutely.
Facebook?
So if everybody go ahead, pull out your phones. This is the best way to do this. And y'all can take a picture and tag me at the same time. Ryan Walton Official. So if you guys want to look me up on Instagram, it's Ryan Walton Official. And you'll see one post a day. I mix it up. It's mostly sharks. And then on Facebook, I also have a page you guys can follow, but I'm much more active on Instagram. And then we do have a booth here today. It's booth 13. We're over in the corner with Deep Obsession Charters. That's the company that I work with. I'm a co-owner at. So you guys come check me out over there. I think I'm going to be over here for a couple minutes if you want to do a meet and greet. But then if you don't see me here, I should be back at the booth as well. But Ryan Walton Official on Instagram, best way to find me. We've had kind of a gentleman's agreement with the local fishing charters about our lemon sharks specifically because of the aggregation, okay? So we are a sensitive area when it comes to the lemons because of that aggregation. So there is a gentleman's agreement in place, but every time I leave the water, I fear that anyone, not even commercial, recreational, it doesn't matter, anybody can come pick our sharks out of the water. Now the argument there, people ask, are we changing this behavior? No. Guys, they're eating the same thing they'd eat either way, and I don't believe that we're forming a human association. If they wanted to come pick up scraps from me or the turtle that's falling behind to my left, either way they're going to come and pick up these scraps. But it is a big fear. Every time I go home, I talk about that all the time. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to see these animals again. Now let me say this, from what I've studied, Stevie is a transient lemon, Snooty is a resident. So I do not know, never mind our waters, I don't know if Stevie will make it back in November, which is when I have her cataloged coming back. November to May is when Stevie is there. Snooty is there year round. So that's another thing is we don't know where she goes. After she leaves our coast, it's fair game. Outside of 3 miles, it's fair game. So we don't. Every time we leave the water from playing with these animals that we come up with, the guys from Tiger Beach that go over there and they've got all of their sharks named and cataloged, and they don't know. They could leave Tiger Beach and go migrate away, and some fishermen can pick them up somewhere else. Just because they're protected at Tiger Beach doesn't mean that out in the open ocean these animals aren't going to pick up scraps. Go ahead. No, he's just waving. Any more questions, guys? Jana?
How come Stevie is tagged so that you can monitor?
I love it. So, I'm peeking at Hannah. Yeah, that Hannah. So she asked me, why isn't Stevie tagged? We're gonna. Funding. Hannah said funding. That is a very honest answer. I have discussed with Hannah and Dr. Austin Gallagher the potential, because of the way that I can handle these animals, for doing a non-invasive tagging. Hannah's answer to me was, those tags are expensive, and if I drop it, she's gonna kill me. I'm just kidding, that's not what she said. But it's close. So it is. They're expensive, and they make that small incision, they stitch it. I am confident I can secure that animal long enough for her to do it. Stay tuned. So we've had the conversation. I want to track her. I absolutely want to know more, and it has been a preliminary conversation between us. So we'll see if we can make it work, and I'll elaborate if you don't mind. I want her tagged. I want them to take a fin clipping from her at the same time. Hannah has this super cool laser system that she can measure her with, and we can get an approximate weight. We can do a lot in 60 seconds of me securing Stevie. So stay tuned for if she comes back and when she comes back. And if we've got funding, I think we can make it happen. Hannah's hands up, so we're doing it. How much does it cost? So one of the things we just discussed is a couple $100 a tag, but then like the transmitters to track those tags are $1,500 a piece. And right now we got to talk about that because they're trying to put some of those back in Bimini. There's some things going on. So I am going to try my hardest to help Hannah throughout the rest of this year. And outside of the tags, I'm sure we can get funding for those. We need a way to monitor the tags too at this point.
Why aren't you soliciting for donations? Why aren't you focusing on that as a country?
It just happened. They just pulled those last week? 2 weeks ago. So we are, and it's just back in the mix. So they just pulled those 2 weeks ago, and it's something that I don't think they had knowledge that they weren't going back in when they pulled them. That's new news as well. So we will. Mike.
Something about taking the hook out of the shark.
Yeah.
I would love to hear.
Yeah, Mike wanted me to mention some of the stuff we do with these animals because of that relationship. And I've removed 12 to 15 hooks at this point from the animals as well. When they're this tolerant, again, that's the word I like to use with the way that they interact with us, it gives us time to remove hooks and things like that. So I'm between 12 and 15 hooks. And Mike wanted me to mention that. It's pretty neat when you see them come in and respond the way they do because you took a hook out. It's as if you were helping them. And I've taken 3 out of Snooty specifically and 1 out of Stevie at this point. Any more questions, guys? All right, well, I'd be happy to see you guys over there. I'll hang out for a couple of minutes and then make my way around. Thank you very much.
I'm going to run house